to mundo fine, night train to the end. Running hard and running fast to meet my future and away from my past. Taking the gamble that cannot last. Night train to the end.
Hello, this is the Frater SH Night Show, and our article for tonight is Unknown Space Object Beaming Out Radio Signals Every 18 Minutes Remains a Mystery. While mapping radio waves across the universe, astronomers happened upon a celestial object releasing giant bursts of energy. Sound like anything ever seen before? The spinning space object spotted in March 2018 beamed out radiation 3 times per hour. In those moments, it became the brightest source of radio waves viewable from Earth, acting like a celestial lighthouse. Astronomers think it might be a remnant of a collapsed star, either a dense neutron star or a dead white dwarf star with a strong magnetic field, or it could be something else entirely. A study on the discovery published Wednesday in the journal Nature. This object was appearing and disappearing over a few hours during our observations, said leading study author Natasha Hurley Walker, an astrophysicist at the Curtin University node of the International Center of Radio Astronomy Research, in a statement. That was completely unexpected. It was kind of spooky for an astronomer because there's nothing known in the sky that does that. And it is quite close to us, about 4,000 light years. It's our galactic backyard. Curtin University doctor student Tyrone O'Doherty made the unusual discovery while using the Murchison Wide Field Array telescope in the outback of Western Australia. It's exciting that the source identified last year turned out to be such a peculiar object, O'Doherty said in a statement. The MWA's wide field of view and extreme sensitivity are perfect for surveying the entire sky, detecting the unexpected. Remains of a massive star's death, flaring space objects that appear to turn on and off are known as transients. When studying transients, you're watching the death of a massive star or activity of the remnants it leaves behind, said study co-author Gemma Anderson, ICRAR, Curtin astrophysicist, in a statement. Slow transients like supernova might appear over the course of a few days and disappear after a few months. Fast transients like a type of neutron star called a pulsar flash on and off during milliseconds or seconds. This new incredible bright object, however, only turned on for about a minute every 12 minutes. The researchers said that their observation might match up with the definition of an ultra-long period magnetar. Magnetars usually flare up by the second, but the object takes longer. It's a type of slow-spinning neutron star that has been predicted to exist theoretically, Hurley Walker said, but nobody expected to directly detect one like this because we didn't expect them to be so bright. Somehow it's converting magnetic energy to radio waves much more effectively than anything we've seen before. The researchers will continue to monitor the object to see when it turns back on, and in the meantime they are searching for evidence for other similar objects. More detections will tell astronomers whether this was a rare one-off event or a vast new population we've ever noticed before, Hurley Walker said. Okay, the next article is scientists used a computer to predict exactly when society would collapse. Back in the 1970s, scientists used computer modeling to predict when the fall of society would kick off. And according to their findings, you might not want to make any long-term plans Scientists from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, looked at data patterns from a variety of different factors, such as population, natural resources, and energy usage, to find out when we'd experience full societal collapse. The prediction made by the researchers was that this fall of society would hit near the midpoint of the 21st century, 2040 to be exact. Wonderful, at least I can stop worrying about whether I'll be. That's just being silly there. Um, the team study, which was published by Club of Rome. Ugh. The Club of Rome? These articles, you never know where they're going to come from. Club of Rome is like it's a group that's been pretty much tied to like Bilderberger and Illuminati and a lot of Masonic and groups. I mean, we're talking about, very big elites. They're part of like things like Club of Rome and groups like that. And ugh. Okay, again on this show, if I find an article, I read it. But I will give an opinion. The team study, which was published by the Club of Rome, identified upcoming limits to growth that would cause the industrial collapse. Well, see, what it is with those type of groups is they they would want something like COVID, or they would want something like a virus of some kind to cut down the population numbers to at least, back to the Dark Ages, to at least back to levels of the Dark Ages, so then they can have the feudal control that they don't have anymore. They would want that. And if you look at Alex Jones's Endgame, that's a perfect movie. I always thought that was probably one of the best movies to detail this kind of situation. Okay, but back to the article. Limits to growth that would cause the industrial collapse. However, at the time, the report wasn't taken too seriously and did track some ridicule, the Guardian reports. But before you start to feel smug, and set up that Lifetime ISA, in 2009, a different team of researchers did a similar study, which was published by American scientists. It concluded that the model's results were almost exactly on course some 35 years later in 2008. With a few appropriate assumptions, it is important to recognize that its predictions have not been invalidated and in fact seem quite on target. We are not aware of any model made by economists that is as accurate over such a long time span. Further to this, just last year, Dutch sustainable researcher Gaia Harrington also affirmed that the somewhat bleak predictions made in the study. Speaking to The Guardian, Harrington, who works at a multinational accounting firm, KPMG, said, from a research perspective, I felt a data check or a decades-old model against empirical observations would be an interesting exercise, and her findings were about as grim as you can imagine. According to Harrington, current data aligns with the predictions made back in 1972 that had a worst-case scenario of economic growth coming to a halt at the end of this decade and collapse around 10 years later. But before he decided to pack it all in, Harrington did have a bit of an optimistic news. She told The Guardian, the key findings of my study is that we will have a choice to align with a scenario that does not end in collapse. With innovation in business, along with new developments by government and civil societies. New developments by government. Yeah, sure. And civil society, continuing to update the model provides another perspective on the challenges and opportunities we have to create a more sustainable world. Well, that a lot of that stuff, you know what they really want is they want more government control. A lot of these kind of articles are meant to kind of create a lot of fear, so you give up your own personal freedoms for more of a Brave New World type of technocracy. So, well, that's all for now. There'll be more tomorrow. Have a good night.